everyone, it's Bales, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Trade Talk ahead of round 22. We've got 3 more of these to go left in the... Actually, no, 2 more left. Pre-round 20. Yeah, this one. Round 23. Yeah, we've got 2 left after this, I should say. Bloody mess. Anyway, let's get stuck into the most traded in and out players ahead of round 22, because there's going to be some movement, obviously, with the Nick Dacos injury. Everyone's pretty much got him. If you don't have him, you obviously jumped off him last week with that tag, so kudos to you if you got off the week early. Obviously, the injury we couldn't have predicted, but the tag, obviously, was a good trade out. But there's a lot of options. You can go in defence if you don't have any DPP. If you've got DPP in your midfield, you can maybe bring in a premium midfielder, which we'll talk about as well. And then I don't think there's too many forwards that you'd be looking at. If you've got a Sheezel in your forward line, maybe you go and look for maybe someone like a Luke Jackson who's got a good matchup, which we'll talk about, and maybe like a Dunkley or something. But besides that, there's not too many options there, but there's plenty of options in defence and midfield, so we'll get stuck into them. Before we do, if you're enjoying these videos and have done all season, make sure you click the like button. If we can get towards 75 likes. We hit 74 last time. If we get 75 and hit a PB on the channel for these videos, that'd be very much appreciated. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Bottom right corner, 41 away from 1300. We're creeping closely to that 1300, so if you haven't subscribed, get involved. And also, I'm doing some of the footy grid videos on TikTok as well, so make sure you go and follow my TikTok. I think it's about 57 odd followers, so we're nearing 100 followers, so if you can help me reach 100 followers, that'd be very much appreciated. If you're enjoying the content there as well, make sure you give it a like. So let's get stuck in. James Sicily is the most traded in player. 10.1k coaches are jumping on board the Sick Dog. Great matchup this week against the Bulldogs down in Tassie, which you've got a better 150 odd against them last year in not the corresponding fixtures game last year, the final round. So you can imagine he's probably going to be up for another big one. Got a 160 last week against Collingwood, and he's got some pretty good matchups, I think, after. I think he's got Melbourne and then Freo, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. But they're both the G. So Melbourne give up points defenders, and being at the G is good. And then Freo at the G, I think he'll still be fine, even though Freo can be a bit tougher. So I do really like him as an option. Nick Newman, nearly 5,000 jumping on him, which is a little bit surprising in a way, but then in a way it's not surprising because he's been so good. He's been more expensive at 838k, went up 56k last week. Has been good of late with some good scores. 4 tons in his last 5. The last 2 have been pretty big ones as well. Collingwood and St Kilda do give up points to defenders, so but he does have Melbourne, Gold Coast who also give up points. So I'd like the pick with Doherty playing midfield. So if you're wanting a bit of more of a unique and make a little bit of cash from Dacos, he would be a good option. Jack Zeeble, 4.2k jumping on. I like that play as well. I like it more as a 23rd premium play than just like a Dacos down to him, unless you've got maybe some issues you haven't been able to fix. If you've still got like a Windhager on field, even in Mills, I'd be happy to move on. But that cash going down from Dacos to Zeeble, putting on top of a Windhager or a Hobbs or a Mills or something like that can get you up to a big premium. I like that play. And he's not going to be subbed. He's going to be playing every game. And Eston, Richmond, Gold Coast, good matchups to come. I think he could average over 100 from here. If not, he could go close to that 110 average over the final 3 weeks. So I like the pick. If you could do it as a 23rd premium, I love it even more. Luke Jackson, I'm looking at this play as well. I'm looking at the Zeeble play as well, but Jackson's the one I'm looking at the moment. Bailey Williams got off of his suspension, so he'll be playing this week. So, but then again, Jackson against Bailey Williams is still a pretty nice matchup. Then he's got Vicentini there, and then Hawthorn a bit more restricted, but it's at the G. So, got 3 good games to come. I like the pick if you are looking for a forward. James Borlase, good downgrade option. He'll be on your bench. I'm almost at the point where I'd probably rather just save the 46k, 3 weeks to go, save the 46k, get the better upgrade. I know he's got a low break even, but at this point, probably want basement. If there's no basement, then of course go grab Borlase. But I grabbed him last week because he was basement, so was sort of lucky in a way that he ended up having a really good game. I'm still salty he didn't get the Rising Star nomination this week. Sam Doherty, good pick, 2.8k jumping on him. Melbourne, pretty good matchup there. I'd prefer Sicily over him. That's been probably one of the big questions, Sicily or Doherty. I'd prefer Sicily, just a higher ceiling from what he's shown this year with that sort of 150 plus ceiling. I don't think Doherty's hit a 140 plus score. I think he's had a couple of 130s, which has been solid. You got the 136 against the Giants, got a 129, a couple of 124s there, and a 130. So yeah, ceiling not like the Sick Dog, but still very, very solid, very consistent. I like the pick if you've already got Sicily there. Tom Green, 2.4k jumping on. Don't get me wrong, he's a great player, scored really well last week. I'm just a bit worried about this run coming up. He's got Port Adelaide and Adelaide this week. He's then got then he's got the Bombers at Giant Stadium, and then he's got Carlton. Two of those are really hard games, Carlton and Port. Eston's is okay, can be tough at times, so I'd probably look at other options. I think there are better premium mid options with better runs, so I'd look at those personally instead. Jaden Short, I really like this pick. Good value as well, under 800k at 755. St Kilda and North Melbourne in his next two games. And he's got Port in Adelaide, so I'd maybe look to offload him in the final round, but the next two matchups are very, very nice, so I'd look at him. Good option. Matt Crouch, 2.2k jumping on, 728k is cheap, back-to-back tons. You could do a lot worse. He's good value for what he's probably going to produce. I think he can go at about that 100. If you can afford more, I'd still probably prefer other options. I'd probably prefer Jaden Short, to be fair, over Matt Crouch, just because of the two matchups coming up. Brisbane in Brisbane isn't easy, but Matt Crouch, I don't hate the option. Zach Butters, I'm a bit nervous he might get attention this week. He's 2.1k jumping on him. Giants could tag him. They've used Ward to tag. Apologies, I felt that coming. That's why I might have been kind of a bit slow with the Butters one. Anyway, we press on. But yeah, Butters is good in the forward line. I'd prefer Jackson with the better matchups. I'd prefer... No, I don't know if I'd prefer Flanders. Jackson, I would. Zeeble potentially as well for a lot cheaper. But Butters, I don't hate the pick. I'm just a bit nervous with the matchup. The Bont, yep, if you can afford him, I don't mind him. I think Con Nash goes to him this week. Maybe even Finn McGuinness. Finn McGuinness obviously went with Dacos. Bont's a completely different beast. I'd expect Nash to go to him just because I think they match up better. And maybe McGuinness goes to someone else like a Bailey Smith or a Bailey Dale or something like that. Or even Trelaw maybe. But I wouldn't anticipate he goes to Bont. But hey, who knows? We know that Hawthorn do different things. Hayden Young, I don't mind the pick. Since he's been playing midfield, look pretty good. Tackle numbers are up, playing in there. He's cheap. Got a good ton. It's his first sort of big score in a while. Got the 108 against Carlton. I'm not sure. I'd rather Jaden Short for 15k more. If he's the best you can get to and you need defender, I'd probably just prefer to get Zeeble instead to save the 120 odd, 130 odd K. So I'd probably do that. Libra I don't mind as well. 1.2k jumping on him. Good matchup. Got West Coast well next week, so I like it as a pod play. Still pretty lowly owned, 6.8%. And Caleb Sarong I like as well. Last week 125, which was good to see. Was that his first 120 plus score in a while? Yeah, first time he's gone over 120 since round 16. So in the second time he's gone over 120 since round 10. So, but then again, you can't complain because he's gone 1100s in a row. He's the equal longest streak in the AFL along with Connor Rosie. So I'm looking at him this week. I think my boy is coming in over him, but I'm not sure. Could still be an option there as well. Let's go to the most traded out players here. Nick Dacos, obviously over 32,000 and jumping off, and that number will just continue to increase because he's obviously out for the rest of the year. You have to trade him. Harry Sheasel, 3k jumping off. I probably would as well. His role can change every week. Zeebel's back in there now. So next year, though, could be a good starting pick next year. If he puts up a couple of stinkers to finish here, which I hope he doesn't for the people that have got him. But if he did, be cheap for next year and could be an option for us. But that's probably the sicko in me thinking that. But yeah, I'd probably move off as well. And you can bring in... He's at a pretty good price as well. What's he at? 7.75. You make 20k going to Jaden Short, and I'd probably prefer Jaden Short for the rest of the year. So, Marcus Windhager, yeah, time to go. Back-to-back scores sub 75. So I would be looking to, or is it sub 70 actually? Yeah, sub 70. Sub 70. Yeah. 70 and 64. He's got to go. He had a couple of tons, which is great. Good for cash gen and good if you could loop him on, but I think it's time to go. Harry Himmelberg, nearly 2k jumping off. I would as well. Port Adelaide in Adelaide is obviously really tough, especially for defenders. Too many cooks in the kitchen back there, and you can get into a better player. So I'd be trading. Lodge Hewitt, yep, time to cash him in. You got a 45 or something last week? Yeah. Did he actually drop any cash? He went up 17k, break even to 40. He's been good for those coaches that jumped on him, but I'd be cashing him in. Ben Keys, yep, he can go. I think he'll tag Neil this week, so maybe a bit more mid-time. If you've got other issues, you could hold for one more week, but I'd trade. He's one of those players that could put a floor score up, and you want to jump off those guys and get those guys that can put up those big scores. So I'd be trading. You got some other. It's funny. It's pretty much day cost and it's spread out with the other trades. Like you've got like Ryan Marriage, cash him in. Yep, time to go. Nick Martin, he can go. I don't think he's been too great of late. Yeah, 4 scores sub 100, and 3 of those have been sub 80, including the last 2, which have been sub 70. So not great. He can go. Jack Steele. I don't hate the idea of trading him. I think Richmond this week, Carlton last week, he was on Cripps for so much of the game, and Carlton are a tough matchup. I'd probably want to hold, but again, if you're in a luxurious position, he's your sort of the player you want to get rid of. I don't mind trading him. Tom Mitchell's been sub for a few weeks, he can go, and there's plenty of options here that people are trading. That again, I'm not looking at any of these options here and saying that maybe Taranto's the first one I've actually seen that I wouldn't be trading. I definitely wouldn't be trading. He's got St Kilda this week, good matchup, but everyone else can go. All these other players, they're not top of the line, or they're rookies to cash in. So I'd be trading all those guys. So pretty simple week in terms of trades. I think it's day costs and someone else that's going, and you're probably hopefully making 2 pre-moves. If you cash up a bit last week, might be a good thing. If you had like a Himmelberg, you can go him up, and you can go day cost to a premium. You get sort of 2 really good players there. So. And yeah, there's other options as well. I'll probably, just because this video has been quite short, probably just go through a couple of extra options that maybe we didn't talk about in terms of most traded in and out. It's a bit hard to do top 5 now because it's so team dependent. So I'm probably not going to worry about doing a top 5. It's probably just sort of the options like you got in defence for day cost. You got Sicily, who we mentioned, Doherty. If you don't have a Dawson, this is your ticket to get Dawson. It's a pretty easy move. Costs you over 100k, but you still bite the bullet and do it. Obviously, Nick Newman's there. You've got Jaden Shaw, who's got a great run. You've got Zeeble, who's cheap. Luke Ryan is still, I don't mind him as a bit of a pod play. He's got West Coast and Hawthorn in 2 of his last 3. He's got Port Adelaide in between that, but that Port game is at Optus, so not too bad. Actually, will probably be easier if I just go defenders and then just go to general stats and we can have a look. Yeah, Dawson I like, Sicily, Doherty, Ryan, Sinclair. You could jump on him if you've got the other guys. He's not a bad option. Will Day. A few people said about maybe bringing back Will Day. I probably wouldn't. I'd prefer all these other guys here. I'd prefer Newman. I'd prefer Short. Even a Duggan could be a bit of a play as well. Bit of a pod there. Stewart I really like. We didn't mention him, but a lot of people own him. But I really like Stewart. Collingwood, St Kilda, and the Bulldogs in his last 3 games. Such a good run there. Gavin, I don't mind Gavin bringing him in, and if no one gets the joke for Gavin, just tune to the Fantasy Fanatics, and you should understand the joke there with good old Tim. But yeah, Gavin, I don't mind. Has he got? I'm not sure if he's got a toughish run to finish the year or not. What's he got? Richmond, Geelong at Marvel, Brisbane. Yeah, a little bit of a tough run, so maybe you look at other options. But I don't hate the Wanganeen Miller pick there. We've got midfielders. There's a heap of good options here. I wouldn't be going Oliver this week. I know it's his first week back. Well, very likely to be his first week back. I'd wait a week. Carlton are a really tough matchup. If he looks good this week, he's got Hawthorn next week. You can bring him in then. Taranto, everyone's got him, but I'm not sure you'd be like going out of your way to trade him and sell many other options, but I don't mind him. Bont, great option if you can afford him. Dawson, Merritt, great option. North Melbourne this week, you get instant reward there. I like him. Goulden against the Suns could be a pretty good matchup there, so I like Goulden if you don't have him. Sarong, as we mentioned before, I like. Tom Green, I'm not huge. I'm a fan of him, but in terms of an option for the last 3 rounds, I'm not sure. Andrew Brayshaw struggles against West Coast, but I still think West Coast Hawthorn, 2 of his last 3, I think that's a pretty nice run. I don't mind Brayshaw there. Dunkley is pretty good as well. Best forward you can really trade in, I think, at the moment, besides Goulden probably. So I really like Dunkley. Petrarca, with Oliver back this week, could be a good thing. So Petrarca, I wouldn't get him this week, but potentially next week. Laird, I love as an option. He's got Brisbane this week at the Gabba. So yeah, don't mind him. Parrish I still like as a pod. He's got North Melbourne. He's not being brought in by too many this week just because of that. He didn't go huge last week, but I still like him. Lib we mentioned before, and yeah, the list goes on. There's still some solid options here. LDU, still some value if you want to go him. And yeah, that's pretty much that. And then any forwards we didn't talk about. McRae, I don't hate it. Hawthorn West Coast, I prefer the other options, but I don't hate the idea. Yeah, Luke Jackson I like as well. Sam Flans I don't mind as well. Sydney's tough. They're probably the main ones. Yeah, they're probably the options there. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what we'll finish off with for trade talk. My trades this week, I'm looking at going... Oh, what am I looking at doing? I'm going Dacos, probably to Laird. I'm still really considering going Sarong over Laird, which is, again, weird but for me. But Sarong has got West Coast this week, and he's got Hawthorn the final round. I do like those two matchups. And then Port at Optus is still, like, it's restricted, but at least it's better than being in Adelaide. So I'm looking at Sarong potentially. If I get Sarong, I can actually go Chesser up to Zeeble and have a 23rd premium. If I go Laird, I'd probably just go Darcy, Cameron to Jackson. So if I go Zeeble, I can loop between Zeeble and Cameron. And then if Cameron went well, I could loop between Zeeble and Will Day. But, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm still probably going to talk to people on the Friday Twitter space and listen to some other pods and stuff like that throughout the week and see what I do. But at this stage, it's Rory Laird and Luke Jackson coming in for Darcy, Cameron and Nick Dacos. So that's what I'm looking at doing. So anyway, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you do leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as we reach, well, hopefully we can reach 1,300 subscribers before the end of the year. If you haven't followed all my social media links, they're all in the description below. My TikTok, I'm obviously doing some stuff on there with Footy Grid, so make sure you guys go and check that out. Turn notifications on so you don't miss when I go live or upload any other content here on YouTube. We'll be back on Friday afternoon for the usual pre-lockout chat with myself and Tim, and we'll get a couple of people on to chat through all the big issues ahead of round 22. And then we've got the watch-alongs back. I'm not sure about Friday, but Saturday there definitely will be one. So I'm getting keen for that one, for the watch-along. So I'll catch you guys in the next couple of videos. Have a good couple of days, and I'll catch you guys on Friday. So I'm out. Cheers.